All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another YouTube video. My name is Theory. If you do not know me, well, hello. But today I have a good one, right? Today we're going to talk about how your environment shapes everything around you. Your environment shapes everything around you. And we all know this, right? As a little child, we've known that your environment is a big factor, right? Where you grow up, who you spend most of your time around, who you look up to, who you imitate, who you see as an example, right? But as we become an adult, somehow we forget all that. Somehow we get drifted into the world and we start to think, well, this doesn't matter anymore, right? Think about your friends and your buddies that, may have had a goal. You may have had some type of vision, and then your buddy was like, you know what, come work at this company with me. You're like, oh, well, okay, I'm gonna work at this company. And then eventually you get on the job and you're like, oh, this is what we do. Okay, so I guess this is what I do. Eventually, and you start to become like the people around you. Next thing you know, you clock in freaking 20 years and you're wondering how the hell you got here. But that's what we're gonna talk about, right? So let me give you guys a story back, right? Now, let me take you guys back maybe 2 years. 2 years? Yeah, 2 years. 3 years ago. Okay, so I wasn't always like this. And if you have been following for a little bit, you realize at any moment you can change. And that is what I really preach about. At any moment you can change to become the best version of yourself if you choose so. If you choose so. And this is the very key component here. If you choose so. Because at the end of the day, you have choices in life. Every choice that you make is a direct representation of what you are currently right now. These are all compounded effects of all the choices you have made throughout your entire life. Okay? So, 2 years ago, no, actually, what year is this? 2025? 3 years ago. So 3 years ago, I was working as a server, right? And everyone around me was making minimum wage. At this time, it was $7 an hour. Right, so $7 an hour, I'm like, wow, how are these people affording these things? I'm like, they have to be rich. Like, the rich, they're just scamming people probably. Like, there's no way, right? So 2 years ago, I was making about $750 every 2 weeks. $750 every 2 weeks. Yeah, $750 every 2 weeks, and you wonder, how can you survive? I remember my mortgage, somehow I got qualified for this. My mortgage was $699, and obviously $699 is not a lot of money. But when you're making $750, $699 is a lot, because 750 times 2, you're looking at like what, 1,500? Yeah, $1,500 a month take home, hobby, because obviously you have your gross pay and then you have your net pay. But I digress. So I'm making this money. I'm like, wow, how can I ever become like these people who have all of this? So I always wonder, I said, but everyone around me is poor, so like I'm confused. I'm like, how can I become like them if I can't be around them? Because I've always heard the saying, you are who you surround yourself by, you are your closest 5 friends. We all get that, right? Right? I don't need to beat the dead horse. We are the sum of our closest friends. We know that. But how do we break out of it, right? So I moved to Washington and everything like that, and I said, okay, well, I'm gonna come here. I'm a hustle, I know no one around here. I have no friends, no family, and nothing like that. Like, if I can make myself here, I can make myself anywhere, right? So I said, if I can make myself here, I can make myself anywhere. Let me fix this for you guys. All right. So if I can fix myself here, I can make myself anywhere. So self-made, right? So at this point, I'm making $750 a month, and I was like, okay, I need to increase my income, right? Okay, so I'm like, okay, most people I know work multiple jobs, right? So at this point, I'm trying to be a realtor, making no money at all. Because at the time, real estate was the hype, Real estate, like, again, dude, real estate where the market is crazy, the market is booming, like, you can make so much money, bow, bow, bow. I'm like, well, I want to make money, right? Because I want to live the life that everybody typically wants to have, like, comfortable and have a good life, right? So I'm struggling. I'm struggling, to say the least, right? So I'm struggling, and I'm like, how can these people are making all this money and I cannot, right? So in my environment at the time, no one had money, right? So I'm like, okay, let me get a job. So I got a job as a server. That didn't go well, right? Then I got a job at Amazon delivering packages, right, to doors, which is, it paid the bills. I was getting $25 an hour. I thought I was making money because, based on my environment, I was doing pretty good. I was doing pretty good. And then I was like, but now I'm making 4,000 gross, right? 4,000, so 32 take home, maybe something like that, right? So we're looking at $1,600 every 2 weeks. That's not bad, right? That's not bad. So I'm like, okay. Okay. So now I'm working at Amazon. I've been a realtor. I'm trying to make myself something, but everyone around me is not even doing that great. So like, how can I become? So I was like, okay, well, I need to find a better opportunity. I don't know nobody, right? So I went to go buy a car. I'll tell you the funny story about how I became part one for me, right? This is version 2.0, but this is version 3.0 because 2.0 kind of sucks. But so part one, so now I'm making about the 4,000. I'm like, wow, this is so cool. I wish I can, become better. My environment, and at this point, I feel like I'm walking around, I got a little more money. I'm like, oh, people have roommates. That's crazy. Not me, right? Not me. That's not what I do. Because at this time, I'm like, okay, well, based on environment, I'm doing good. So I say, I need more money. This real estate, this was my way out. Cause I'm reading Rich Dad, Thinking Rich Dad, what's that thing called? Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Think and Grow Rich. I'm like, okay, I have to just think and I become, and I'm like, okay, it's not working. Well, it worked from one point. I got 750. Now I'm making, 1,600. So I'm like, wow, maybe it is. This is how it works. I'm like, this is probably where I'm capping at because this is my environment. And then one day, I go into the dealership because I need a new car. Go to the dealership and I'm like, okay, hey guys, and they're like, oh, trying to sell me a car. I'm like, you shady salespeople, get away from me, right? I'm like, I'm gonna get these people, right? So I'm doing my absolute best, and I'm like, do my negotiation, yada yada yada. And then at the end of it, they said, hey, would you like to work here? I said, no, absolutely not. Because at this time, my environment is still people that is at a low level where it's like we work multiple jobs, we do the same thing over and over and over again. We don't really learn much. We don't really do anything. So I'm like, okay, no. But then I was like, just for shits and giggles, I said, how much does your top guy make? He said, 300,000. BS, by the way. But it got me thinking, right? I was like, 300,000. I'm like, I'm doing about 48,000 a year. I'm doing pretty good, because my environment at the time is like, oh, wow, I'm doing really good. So for 300,000, I'm like, you're fucking lying. So I'm like, okay. I was like, yeah, I'll think about it, because what you don't understand is that whatever you don't understand, you'll call it a scam. Scam for me is still confused about money. Still confused about money. So I said, okay, well, this is a scam. I'm like, there's no way. I mean, you must be scamming these people to buy these cars and give them high interest and high payments. Like, there's no way you're making this money unless you're scamming people. I don't know. My environment at the time did not allow me to even think that it's possible, right? So, time goes by, I'm hating delivering packages for Amazon. I'm like, this is not the life I want. Real estate's not going well either because at this time, my brain has not broken barriers in my mind. My limiting beliefs, my self-doubts, they're still creeping because I'm not really that much different. I just have got a different job, right? Because as you develop your brain, right, that's really when it starts to become, because now I could do whatever job is like, I could do it at the highest level, right? So I give the guy a call back. I said, hey man, it's like, you guys still hiring? I was like, let me try. I was like, what's the worst that can happen? I make the same as Amazon? He said, no, I mean, sure, what, make 4,000, whatever, right? Oh well, I'm already doing that right now. But instead I'll be in an AC room and just showing people cars or whatever. First month in, I'm watching these people work. I'm watching how they move. They're moving with so much speed, tenacity, so much precision, so much skill. Their ability to deliver words, their ability to persuade. Oh, wow. I was like, what the? I was like, no way. I remember the first time I walked into the sales room, sales office, I remember sales training. I was like, oh my God. I was like, oh, that's scary. But I remember walking to inside the first room, and I walked in, the phone ring, and not even, you know how I go, no, it went, thank you for calling Dick Hand Honda Home with a lifetime warranty. This is XYZ name, you know? I'm like, whoa, you're fast, dude. Then I realized money loves speed. But after being with them, I'm trying to speed this up for you guys. After being with them and spending a year, 2 years, 3 years with them, my belief system has changed entirely because my environment is now full of people who's making six figures. So it's like, bye Amazon, right? First month, make 10,000. I'm like, whoa. Because, you know, I don't have the limit. I'm just doing whatever the fuck they tell me to do at this point because I just want money. So the environment has now molded me from now making $750 to $4,000 a month to now making 10,000 plus. All from the environment, all from the people I'm spending most of my time around, right? So yes, you might have some friends. Yes, you might have family members who might keep you down. But if you spend most of your time with people who are doing better than you, and that's the key word, they're doing better than you, and you want to be like them. Yes, I want to be just like them. I said, wow. I said, how old are you? I remember I asked, he said, there was a 19-year-old kid, Jay. There was a 19-year-old kid, and I said, how old are you? He said, I'm 19. And how much you made last year? Because I didn't really give him, I had no shame. I said, how much did you make last year? He said, I'm whispering, he said, 100,000. I said, no way. You're telling me I'm 22 years old at the time. You said, I'm 22 and you're telling me you made 100,000. I'm over here struggling delivering packages for Amazon? Oh no. Oh no. But that did not happen if I didn't place myself in that environment. So you have to ask yourself, how can you get in that environment? Now the flip can also happen, right? So after that period of success, you know, partying and everything like that, because now my environment is changing, not from being with successful people to now being with partiers, right? And with partiers, guess what? All they want to do is party. All they want to do is drink. All they want to do is club. This is fun in the moment, but you don't see the compounding effect. And being with them in that environment, I started to digress. I started to move backwards. Started to incur debt. I started to lose my mind. I didn't have the ability to do rational thinking anymore. I couldn't talk to customers straight because I was too hangover, right? Because now my environment is no longer most of the time with these successful people. It's more partying, spending all the money, right? So both things can happen if you allow it. Yeah. Your environment really matters. So now I have gone to shambles. Now also the other thing on top of that, so you can go from success, you can go from down, but you can also go to static. And what do I mean by that? So after that, I was like, okay, well, my mind is not working anymore. I don't have the belief system in myself anymore for me to be able to achieve what I used to be able to achieve, right? I can't make the money anymore because I don't believe in myself anymore. I've lost all confidence in myself. I can't do it anymore. That was the vocabulary in my head. I remember they tried to put me back together. They said, hey man, stop the drinking, stop the partying, man. Get back to the grind, get back to the vision. But the environment was pulling me so much. And that's why you have to be careful. Now, after that, I said, okay, well, I can't do sales anymore. Let me get a job, a 9 to 5. Imagine you're making all this money, you're partying, everything like that, which is great. Then you go into South, and then he's like, well, let me ground myself. Stagnant, whatever you want to say. I went to this 9 to 5. Now imagine I have a high performance mindset, right? And that this 9 to 5, it doesn't matter how fast you do things. It doesn't matter how quick you can turn things around. It's not a matter of how fast you can respond to emails, how fast you can get things done. It's, oh yeah, just make sure you get the task done. So mundane, so slow. But how does that affect you? Because now I'm spending 8 hours of my day around these people that are so slow. Your brain starts to welt because now you're like, oh, I just have to slow myself down. I have to reduce my enthusiasm. I have to reduce my being to fit into this new environment. So we have the sales one where we're like, well, everyone is doing better than me, so I need to up it up. We fit to that environment. Then we have the partying, the scenes, where everyone is want to party. So I gotta go to that side. So we reduce our sales abilities and everything like that to not being the more party. And then we have the stagnant for me, where now I'm wondering like, okay, so this is what life is like. It's slow, it's mundane, it's just repeat. There's nothing new. I'm just like, oh, email, come in. There's a task, come in. All right, yep, thank you. I'm gonna clock out at 3:30. I couldn't fathom that idea. I said, no, there's no way. This cannot be. So I stood there for 1.5 years. I said, well, at the time I said, I'm just gonna use it to take it as a stepping stone. But what happens, and I think a lot of people are in this place where I was, with the 9 to 5, we forget what our vision was because our environment has now made us shrink back. Our environment made us grow or shrink to where we currently are. We forget what we're doing because our environment has told us that we need to slow down. We need to take our time. We have all the time in the world, but I'm here to tell you, you do not have all the time in the world. You have to get after it. You have to become who you want to be no matter what. Whatever the cost is, you must pay. But are you willing to sacrifice is the real question. Are you willing to be lonely? Are you willing to remove yourself from the partying? Are you willing to remove yourself from the bad friends? Are you willing to remove yourself from the negative family members? That's what it showed me. Yes. We all get pulled in every direction, right? Your environment it dictates what happens, right? So you must be able to hone yourself back and lock yourself back. But how do you do that? You must have aim. You must have direction. Or else you become like me when I went into the 9 to 5 and I forgot all I used to do, all the success I used to do because the environment has numbed my brain. You start to drift. You say, oh, well, it's the weekend. It's time for me to go, have a drink. It's the weekend. It's time for me to go, relax, sit on the couch, watch some TV, a couple hours straight. Time for me to have a little old-fashioned. These things happen because environment. But if you are not careful, you will drift. And I drifted for a whole 1.5 years. And it was only supposed to be a year or 6 months just to re-stabilize myself, to re-ground myself, to re-humble myself. It's for humility. But your environment can control you to an absolute degree if you let it. You have to snap out of it. You have to remember who you are. What is the mission you are trying to do? Yes. Yeah, I started getting fat. I was like, whoa. I remember I was looking in the mirror and I said, did I let myself go? Am I no longer him? Am I just average? If you start doing average things, if you just be average, you start receiving average things. To be extraordinary, you must do extra than the ordinary. You have to break the environment. The environment, and I understand there's some people who is in the same position that I was with 9 to 5 and forgot all about their goals, but once you start to create the goals, you will start to understand what is it you truly want in life. Did you know 95% of people don't know what they want in life? They just follow along with the mass because their environment makes it that way. I can tell you that most people do not even have a goal in mind of where they want to be in 5 years, where they want to be in 6 months to a year. Some people don't even know what they're doing this weekend, which is fine. Yeah, but like I always say, your environment dictates a lot. If you're around successful people, you become successful. If you're around people who are drinking all the time, you become people like that drinks and party all the time. Yeah. But those things compounds, right? You have two worlds. The successful compounding and the negative compounding, right? Whichever one you choose, you will become one. Whatever environment you choose to stay in, it will be lonely if you decide to remove yourself from another environment. You will feel FOMO, fear of missing out. You will. But that is what it takes to be great. That is what it takes to be extraordinary. You must remove yourself from the environment. You might say, oh, I don't have friends that are better than me. Drop them all. Just tell them, hey, I'm going on a period where I'm just going to log in and do what I got to do. Drop them all. I promise you, they will be doing the same exact thing. I promise you, bro. I did an experiment. I said, okay, I went to this bar when I was used to party all the time. I went to this bar, looked at the staff, looked at the people there. I was like, okay, they always in this corner. They're on this corner. She's over here. He's over here. Cool. I stopped going for a month. Come out a random night. Didn't know, no, going outside, guys. No, didn't tell nobody. Same people. Stuck in the same environment. Stuck in an endless loop. If you allow it, an endless loop. Now, which loop would you want? The loop of success or the loop of failures? Yeah. Are you willing to sacrifice? It's really, though, that's all that matters at the end of the day. Are you willing to sacrifice? Because your environment will dictate everything that happens to you in life. You must choose your environment. And if you cannot get out of your environment, you must create your environment. Yeah. Stop going to the bars. Stay in your place. Go to a lounge. Go to a lobby like I'm doing. Stay away from people. If you do what everybody's doing, you will become like everybody. I don't know how much easier and more Barney style I can explain that. If you do what everyone is doing, you will become like everyone. And I don't know if you want to be like everyone. If you have stayed here all the way to 22 minutes into this video and you have stayed here to keep hearing me rant about environment, you probably don't want to be like that. And that's exactly who we're looking for, right? Like minds. We don't want to be like the mass. It's good to be fit. It's good to be a good member of society, but you must think individually. Are you just going with the flow? With the crowd? With the mass? Sheep? But at the end of the day, it's all your choice. The life you want is the things that you are not deciding to do. Not the things you're doing, not deciding to do. Yeah. I can guarantee you, easiest way to get a little bit better in life is to do complete opposite of what everybody that you know is doing. They're going to the clubs, go to bed. They're drinking, don't drink. That simple. They up late at night, snooze. They don't go to the gym, go to the gym. Your environment. And they won't judge you when you go to the better place. A successful person will not judge you for trying to be better. A person in the gym will not judge you for trying to get fitter. They won't. Because they understand what it took to get there and they know how hard it is to break out of the environment. But you must break out of the environment for your life to change. But if you made it this far, thank you so much. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. If you have any comments, please comment down below. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you guys so much. Catch you again. Ciao.